I woke up to the sound of someone breaking into my cabin at 10:30 p.m. through the darkness. I could see a figure dressed head to toe in black, holding lockpicks like some kind of suburban burglar. But here's the thing. She wasn't a random thief. She was Karen Whitmore, the HOA president who'd been harassing me for months. And she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life, because my two 80-pound German shepherds, Thor and Loki, were about to introduce themselves. What happened next? Let me take you back to where this insanity actually started. 3 months earlier, my life was simple. I worked in Denver during the week and escaped to my family's mountain cabin every weekend. The cabin had been built by my grandfather in 1947, a sturdy log structure nestled deep in the Colorado Rockies, surrounded by towering pines and absolute silence. It was my sanctuary, my escape from the chaos of city life. Then the developers came. A company bought the land 2 miles down the mountain and built Pine Ridge Estates. 40 identical houses with manicured lawns, black mailboxes, and the kind of aggressive sameness that makes your soul hurt just looking at it. And with those houses came her, Karen Whitmore. She showed up at my cabin on a Saturday morning in July, wearing white capri pants, a pink polo shirt, and carrying a leather-bound clipboard like it was the Holy Grail. Her blonde hair was cut in that aggressive "I want to speak to the manager" style that seems to defy the laws of physics and gravity. She knocked on my door with the kind of authority that suggested she believed she owned the entire mountain. I opened the door, with Thor and Loki flanking me. Both dogs immediately focused on her. Their ears perked forward, sensing something off about this visitor. "Can I help you?" I asked. She didn't even look at me. Her eyes were scanning my property. Her lips pursued in obvious disapproval. "I'm Karen Whitmore, president of the Pine Ridge State Homeowners Association. I'm here to inform you that your property is in violation of multiple community standards." I blinked. "Excuse me?" She clicked her pen with the enthusiasm of someone who genuinely enjoys ruining people's day. "Your cabin's exterior hasn't been painted in what appears to be decades. Your firewood pile exceeds the maximum allowable height of 4 feet. You have multiple vehicles visible from the road. Stop." I held up my hand. "I'm not part of your HOA." Her eyes snapped to mine, and I saw something dangerous flicker there. "Every property within a 5-mile radius of Pine Ridge Estates falls under our jurisdiction. It's in our bylaws. Your bylaws don't override property law. My family has owned this land since 1952. Your HOA was founded 2 months ago. Do the math." A red flush crept up her neck. "Our lawyers disagree. You'll be receiving formal violation notices in the mail. The fine starts at $500 and increases weekly until compliance is achieved." Thor growled, low and deep. He'd always had good instincts about people. "You should probably leave now," I said calmly. Karen's eyes darted to Thor, then back to me. "You need to register those animals with our pet committee. Any dog over 50 pounds requires special approval and a liability waiver. Get off my property." She smiled, a thin, cruel smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You'll be hearing from us." And boy, did I hear from them. Over the next 3 months, I received 17 certified letters. Each one was more absurd than the last. "Your firewood is stacked in a manner inconsistent with community aesthetics. Your truck is parked at an unapproved angle. Your dogs are insufficiently contained, despite having a fully fenced property. Your cabin's rustic appearance creates a visual blight for the community." I ignored every single one. My lawyer sent them a cease and desist letter explaining in great detail that their HOA had exactly zero authority over my property. They responded with threats of legal action. My lawyer responded with threats of harassment charges. It was a standoff, and I thought I'd won. I should have known Karen wasn't the type to accept defeat. That Friday in October, I'd driven up after a particularly brutal week at work. I was a software consultant, and my latest project had been a nightmare of missed deadlines and difficult clients. All I wanted was to grill a steak, drink a beer, and sit by the fire with my dogs. The evening was perfect. The aspen trees had turned golden, and the air had that crisp bite that promises winter is coming. I threw steaks on the grill, one for me and two smaller ones for Thor and Loki, because spoiling my dogs was one of life's great pleasures. "You guys are living the dream," I told them as they devoured their steaks. Thor's tail wagged so hard his entire back end moved. Loki finished first and immediately tried to steal Thor's portion, resulting in a brief wrestling match that ended with both of them panting happily on the porch. Around 9 o'clock, I built a fire in the stone fireplace and settled into my grandfather's old leather chair with a book. Thor sprawled across the rug, snoring softly. Loki curled up on the couch, technically against the rules, but I'd long since given up that battle. By 10, I was yawning. I let the fire die down to embers, made sure both dogs had water, and headed to bed. They stayed in the main room, as they always did. Anyone who's ever owned German Shepherds knows they're the best security system money can buy. Alert, intelligent, fiercely protective, and absolutely terrifying when they need to be. I was asleep within minutes. The sound started at 10:43 p.m. Scritch, click, scritch. My eyes opened in the darkness for a moment. I thought I'd imagined it. Then I heard it again. The unmistakable sound of someone trying to pick my lock. My heart rate spiked. I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and checked the security camera app I'd installed last month. The front porch camera showed a figure dressed entirely in black, crouched by my door, working at the lock with what looked like professional picks. Then the figure's face tilted up slightly, caught in the camera's infrared light. Karen Whitmore. "You've got to be kidding me," I whispered. In the main room I heard Thor and Loki stirring. The soft jingle of their collars, the click of their nails on the wooden floor, and then a low growl that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Crack! The lock gave way. The door swung open. I slipped out of bed and moved silently to my bedroom door, cracking it just enough to see into the main room. The scene that unfolded was almost surreal. Karen stepped inside, clicking a small flashlight. She was dressed like she was about to rob a bank. Black yoga pants, black zip-up jacket, black gloves, even a black baseball cap with her blonde hair turned underneath. In her other hand she carried her designer handbag, which seemed hilariously out of place with her stealth outfit. "Finally," she muttered to herself, her voice carrying in the quiet cabin. "Let's see what violations we can document without the owner interfering." She took another step forward. That's when Thor stepped out of the shadows. He was magnificent in his fury, ears forward, hackles raised, teeth bared in a snarl that would make a wolf reconsider its life choices. The growl that came from his chest was primordial, a sound that spoke to something ancient in the human brain, that screams predator, run. Loki emerged from the other side, flanking her perfectly. They'd done this before during training exercises, but never for real. Two massive German shepherds, moving in perfect coordination, cutting off every escape route. Karen's flashlight beam swung wildly between them. "Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God!" Thor barked, not a warning bark, but a full-throated, aggressive bark that echoed through the cabin like a gunshot. Karen screamed. She stumbled backward, her designer bag flying off her shoulder. Her foot caught on my welcome mat, and she went down hard, crashing into the coat rack. Jackets, hats, and a vintage snowshoe I'd hung there came tumbling down on top of her. I flipped on every light in the cabin. "Freeze!" Karen's head whipped towards me. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with terror, her carefully styled hair now a mess. She was tangled in my winter coat, one hand still gripping the flashlight like it might protect her from two very angry dogs. "I can explain," she shrieked. "You broke into my house. I'm conducting an official HOA inspection. At 11 o'clock at night?" Thor and Loki advanced slowly, their growls continuous now, a rumbling bass note of pure threat. Karen tried to scramble backward, but she was trapped between the dogs and the door. "Call them off. They're vicious. They're going to attack me. They're protecting their home from a criminal." I pulled out my phone and started recording. "For the record, it's October 13th, 10:47 p.m. I'm standing in my living room, and Karen Whitmore, president of the Pine Ridge State HOA, has just broken into my private residence. Karen, can you explain what you're doing here?" Her mouth opened and closed. Thor took another step forward, his eyes locked on her like she was a prey. I The cabin looked abandoned, I thought. "There's a truck in the driveway. The lights were on 2 hours ago. You heard my dogs barking. Try again. You wouldn't respond to our violation notices. Because I'm not in your HOA. Because you have zero authority here. Because what you're doing right now is a felony." The words seemed to hit her like a physical blow. Her face went from pale to gray. "You can't. I'm on the town council. I'm a respected member of You're a criminal who just committed breaking and entering, and I have you on video." Loki barked this time, sharp and loud. Karen actually whimpered. "Please," she whispered, tears starting to stream down her face. "Please, Lord, don't let them hurt me." I let the moment hang there, let her fear really sink in. Then I whistled once, a sharp, clear note. Both dogs immediately sat, though their eyes never left Karen. Their training was perfect, their discipline absolute. But Karen didn't know that. For all she knew, they were one command away from ripping her apart. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, my voice cold and measured. "You're going to very slowly reach into that ridiculous purse and show me what you brought to document violations. And if you make any sudden moves, my boys are going to think you're threatening me." With trembling hands, Karen unzipped her designer bag and pulled out its contents one item at a time. A professional camera with a long lens, a notepad with my address written at the top and a list of violations, a measuring tape, a printed copy of Pine Ridge State Community Standards with several sections highlighted, and I couldn't believe this. A portable printer. "You were going to print violation notices in my own home?" "I was going to leave them where you'd find them, so you'd take us seriously." "I'm taking you seriously now, Karen. I'm taking you very, very seriously." I stepped forward and picked up the notepad. Her handwriting was meticulous, obsessive. "Fireworks stack, 6.2 inches, exceeds 4 feet maximum by 26 inches. Exterior paint, weathered gray, unapproved color. Visible tools on porch, violation of aesthetic standards. Dog waste stations not visible, required for properties with pets." "You measured my firewood pile?" I said slowly. "You broke into my house to measure my firewood pile. It's blocking the view from—" "Get out!" My voice was barely above a whisper, but something in it made both dogs stand again. "Get out of my house! Get off my property! And if you ever come near me or my dogs again, I'm pressing charges. I have you on video. I have time-stamped recordings. I have physical evidence. And come Monday morning, the sheriff is going to hear all about it." Karen scrambled to her feet, leaving her bag and all its content on the floor. She yanked the door open and practically threw herself down the front steps. I followed her out on the porch, still recording. She was running towards her Mercedes, parked 100 yards down the road, hidden from view. I realized she'd actually planned this. She'd parked far enough away that I wouldn't hear her car, snuck up to my cabin and broken in. "If I see you on my property again," I called out, "I won't stop the dogs." Karen reached her car, fumbled with her keys, and finally got the door open. The engine roared to life and she peeled out, gravel spraying everywhere. Her taillights disappeared down the mountain road and silence returned. I stood there for a long moment, my heart hammering, adrenaline flooding my system. Then I looked down at Thor and Loki, both sitting calmly beside me, looking up with expressions that seemed to say, "We did good, right?" "The best boys," I said, my voice shaking. "The absolute best boys in the world." Monday morning, I walked into the Summit County Sheriff's office with my phone, the security camera footage, the physical evidence Karen had left behind, and a written statement. Deputy Martinez had known me since I was a kid. He'd been friends with my grandfather. He watched the video 3 times, his expressions cycling from disbelief to anger to something like amusement. "She really broke into your cabin." "She really did." "To measure your firewood." "Among other things." He leaned back in his chair and rubbed his temples. "We've been gathering complaints about this HOA. They tried to fine Mrs. Henderson for having the wrong color garbage cans. She is 93 years old." "What did she do?" "Told them to go to hell in church." He grinned. "I like that woman." "So what happens now?" Now, now I arrest Karen Whitmore for breaking and entering, trespassing, and attempted burglary. Those lockpicks put her in serious felony territory." He paused. "This is going to make the news." "Good." It made more than the news. It went viral. By Tuesday afternoon, HOA president arrested after breaking into cabin, confronted by guard dogs, was trending on social media. The local news ran it as their lead story. By Wednesday, national outlets picked it up. By Thursday, I had been contacted by 3 different TV shows wanting to interview me. I declined them all, but I did release the security footage camera, watching Karen fumble with the lockpicks, sneak into my cabin, and then scramble in terror as Thor and Loki emerged from the darkness, became an internet sensation. The memes were everywhere. "When you take HOA rules too seriously. Instant karma. Good boys protect their home." Karen was charged with breaking and entering, trespassing, possession of burglary tools, and attempted theft. Her lawyers tried to argue she had reasonable authority to inspect the property. My lawyer buried them under property law precedents and reminded the judge that breaking and entering at night while the owner sleeps is the literal definition of burglary in Colorado. She took a plea deal: probation, community service, a 500-foot restraining order, and she had to resign from the HOA board. The entire Pine Ridge State HOA collapsed within 2 weeks. As other board members resigned and homeowners revolted. Best of all, property values in Pine Ridge Estates actually went up once people realized the tyrannical HOA was gone. It's been 6 months now. I'm sitting on my porch, Thor and Loki sprawled at my feet, watching the sunset paint the mountains in shades of orange and purple. My firewood pile is exactly 6 feet 2 inches tall. My cabin is still weathered gray. My truck is parked at whatever angle I feel like, and if anyone has a problem with it, well, my boys are always ready to have a conversation. They're very good at dealing with unwanted visitors.